this is the program you're going to need for it. SoftMax Pro 7.0. When you start it up, it'll have this. Usually this would be open by now, so it should be a lot faster, but what you want to do is make sure you set up the connection to it. If you didn't see what I pressed, it says choose a different instrument. You'll know it's not connected if it has the stop sign, but when it can connect, it should turn into a green check mark. So the name is right here. Make sure it's the same one. Should connect. Then you'll have your green check mark, and everything should be keyed in for you. If you're going to be mainly doing ELIZAs, what you're going to be doing is it's going to be dependent on your kit, I presume. But if you have non-specific stuff, what you'll want to do is plate type. You can change the plate types here. So if you want to change the specific settings of the plate, you go to settings. There's absorbance, fluorescence, ELIZA's absorbance. Usually you do 2 wavelengths. The kit we use, for example, is 450. We subtract 570. You do the reductions later. You can change your plate types. You can do 6, 12, 24, 48, 96, and 384. You can change the read area if you only use specific sets. It'll make the read times faster, but otherwise you don't need to touch it. We don't really mess with the path check settings. Just in this lab, we usually do a 5 to 10 second read or shake before it reads, just to make sure everything is resuspended properly. But it's not really necessary. You don't see that much difference. We don't really touch the speed reading. We don't do any specific kind of read order. That's how you set up the different wavelength and types you'll need. You can also do different types of reading. So you can do kinetic, you can do multi-point on the single well, and you can do spectrum. I think we've only really done kinetic and well scan as an alternative to endpoint. We've never really touched the spectrum. To get the reductions that you may need, there's a button right beside the settings for reduction. So you can do if you're just going to read one wavelength, usually for MTTs or other cell viability assays, you just leave it as that. But for the reductions you need for an ELIZA plate, for example, you can do wavelength 1 versus wavelength 2, or however you organize your wavelength numbers in the other screen. So that's essentially ready to go. When you're ready, unfortunately the touch screen is messed up. You'll have to go into operations and manually press open and close. So you open it, put your plate in, or your 9612 plate for ELIZAs. You reclose it again. You wait for it, and then you can read it as is. And then if you want to assign the different groups already, you can do it beforehand or after. You can go to template editors right here, and you can select a well, assign it a different name, concentrations, and all that stuff. Just make sure you actually like press OK, because we've done plenty of times where it's just a control group. You can select your units, and then I forget to press OK, and then you can like set specific ones here as well. It'll change the sample type or sample number for that group accordingly, automatically. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. Do you guys think you'll be doing any DNA, RNA reading, or do you have a
Don't know yet.
Okay. Well, just in case, those are like very specific and they have their own like setup. This is the gear we have to use for those. So they're like really they're micro 24 well plates. You put 2 microliters into each. You would use any of these black plates, and then you have to use the 0.5 millimeter top slide. And then you would basically have to go to protocols. These have their own pre-built ones, protocol library. And then whatever nucleic acid you want to read, it would be, you can do RNA quantification or DNA quantification, just the regular ones, spectrograph. We don't have any of the cartridges or the cuvettes. And they should be pretty intuitive. They have like a built-in manual for all their use in general. And they follow essentially the same procedure. You can change your template here. You can modify which wells you want to read. Wavelengths you wouldn't really touch because it's pre-built. But yeah, cool.
And sorry, Ivan, what about temperature? We can adjust the temperature?
You can. So it would be here in operations. We don't really use it for ELISAs and stuff, but we have used it for cell culture growth curves and stuff like that, or yeast growth curves. So you can change the temperature. I don't believe we can do gradients as far as I know because I've never used it, but you can set a specific static temperature if you need it.
That looks good, yeah. So basically that kit for protein is similar to ELISA. It has a standard and then unknown samples.
Yeah. It's essentially the same. If you want to do standards, it makes it a lot easier too. So for ELISAs, for example, so it's a 96 one. If you have any specific type of plate you're using, you can also select them from here, but we usually use the clear bottom standards. Yeah, so for something like standard, it's actually pretty easy because you go standards. They have a pre-built group, so it'll have a graph already. You can do series. For example, for ours, we do our standards are 250/2, and it'll automatically do it for you. And then when you read something, it'll automatically generate a curve and the linear fit and all that stuff. But yeah, relatively simple to use. If you ever have any questions, one of us is going to be here. I'm kind of like the most adept at it technically because I have to work it all out from the start, but everybody's been using it. So.
That's great. Maybe the first time we need some help.
Yeah, it's all good.
Great. Thank you very much.